The fact that PENCAS and Blue Economy are being heard and are being attended to by various agencies of government and even the private sector means that its time has come. And just for the record, I have filed these measures many years ago, if not even my terms ago. I recall PENCAS under another name. I filed it as a much younger senator in 2007, as early as then. And just for the record, these are not new concepts. As Yusek Edilion would very well know, these have been instituted and these are policies of the United Nations, if I may use the term very loosely, and these were actually done already or incorporated in some NEDA policies way back. So it is not new, maybe not yet mainstream, but post-pandemic and focusing on sustainable green development, blue economy. Suddenly, everything that we talked about for the past 20 years, where I felt like a lone voice in the wilderness and some found me strange in the 1990s talking about green, blue, climate, DRR, even in 2007. So I'm actually grateful that you are all present virtually and here. I'm not wearing a mask, so I would appreciate everyone to wear a mask. Yes. When you speak, please put down your mask kasi hindi na tayo nag-antigen ngayon, but it's a closed room. You did antigen, very good. Yes, ako hindi nag-antigen. Okay, so I would request everyone to wear a mask, especially those around us. Dikit-dikit tayo, hindi na tayo nag-distancing. And I apologize for being 15 minutes a bit delayed. I had to finish some work as well. So I especially would like to mention Yusek Rosemary Edelion, your career. You've been in NEDA for so long, so she knows exactly what I'm referring to. I appreciate the fact also when I call Yusek Edelion, I think it was even during pandemic when I would, or maybe when I was congressman, I would ask you things about, coordinate with NEDA. So thank you for being here, but everyone will be acknowledged as well. So I would just like to state that this is a subcommittee of Economic Affairs joined with the Committees on Environment, Natural Resources, and Climate Change and Finance. So we call to order this hearing on PENCAS as well as blue economy. It's the first time hearings, but in this Congress, am I accurate in saying that? It's the first time in this Congress, and even in previous Congresses, it has never been heard. So that's interesting. It's been practiced by NGOs, it's been taught, but never been heard because it's the first time I think it's being legislated. So today's hearing, as I mentioned, is a continuation of the discussion of the Philippine Ecosystem and Natural Capital Accounting System, or PENCAS, and the Blue Economy Act. Yesterday, we had a pre-LEDAC meeting with the Senate President and Migsubiri and the Finance Chair, Senator Angara, and the Speaker of the House, Martin Romualdez, and Majority Leader Manix Delipe. And we ensured that PENCAS and Blue Economy are the LEDAC priorities. So that's important. Again, never has it been that environmental, climate, sustainability measures have been placed on priority lists by both houses. And I must say that there's unanimous, we are in agreement that this is these are important measures that are LEDAC priorities. But the LEDAC is tomorrow. We leave it to the president as well. But I am certain that he will hear what Congress has to offer as priority as well. So we mentioned the blue economy, and we know that these bills represent a commitment to safeguard our environment while harnessing the full potential of our marine resources. The fragile state of our ecosystems demands decisive action as the impacts of climate change, habitat loss, and pollution threaten the very foundation of our nation's well-being. The PENCAS Act introduces an innovative approach that allows us to account for the value of our natural resources and ecosystems by integrating their worth into our national accounts. I guess the training still has to be done. I also need to have technical knowledge of how this is done because I may know the policy, but I want to understand. So whoever can train us to really measure, because we can say it, we can talk about it, but to actually implement it, that's the challenge for government agencies and the private sector. But we know that by doing so, we can make more informed decisions that balance economic growth with environmental protection, ensuring the long-term sustainability of our ecosystems. We very well know that we are a very wealthy nation based on the resources that we have. More than 113 legislated protected areas and thousands of protected municipal by municipal ordinances. So there's so much to love about the Philippines, right? So we just need to protect it. We need to conserve it. We need to know where it is and what it is to be able to protect and conserve. We cannot not know. Yes. How can you love something you don't know exists? How can you protect something we don't know exists? And we also utilize it because we have 110 million Filipinos to feed and clothe and provide livelihoods to. But we do it sustainably because these resources are finite unless they are renewable resources. Then what we need to do is to utilize them, but use them sustainably so that the resources are renewed for the next generation. Actually, what I'm saying is I'm simplifying the measures. At simpleng-simple, hindi ito dapat pala isapan. It's a no-brainer. So, in everything we do, as government leaders, appointed or elected, lahat ng ginagawa natin ay ito ba ay makakabuti, makakahusay, o ito pa'y makakamatay ng ating kapaligiran at kalikasan na yung susunod ay wala nang mapapakinabangan. So, the Blue Economy Bill, it seeks to bolster our efforts in achieving a vibrant and sustainable blue economy. We have one of the world's longest coastlines and an abundance of marine resources. I don't have to say that. You all know that much more than I do. The Philippines has the great potential to become a leader in blue economy development. Now that much attention is on our country, we've opened up so much as we have to the world and rekindling bilateral, multilateral relationships, bringing in investments, both domestic and foreign. We must make sure that the blue economy is part of it, but sustainably utilized. And we must protect it. So this potential can only be realized if we adopt a holistic approach that addresses the needs of our coastal communities. We cannot ask investors to come in, even domestic investors, and our fisher folks will remain poor. Hindi pwede. Kailangan alagaan ang nagbibigay ng pagkain sa hapagkainan. Siya man ay magsasaka o mangingisda. Ibig sabihin, papangalagaan natin ang kanyang mga lugar kung saan ang kanyang catch ay nanggagaling. Hindi pwedeng wawasakin para sa isang magandang ani, tapos bahala na. So we must promote sustainable practices. Now, what are these? So lahat ng inyong opening statements, wag tayo very general. Lahat ng sustainable practices, ipagkumpul-kumpul natin so we can share it and learn as well from grassroots, from community-managed, community-based people's organizations, from indigenous knowledge systems. So we must protect our marine biodiversity. In today's hearing, we have the privilege of hearing from experts. That's why you're here. Stakeholders, government agencies who will provide invaluable insights on the provisions of these measures. I urge all participants to engage in a fruitful and constructive dialogue as we seek to refine these pieces of legislation and ensure their effectiveness in safeguarding our ecosystems and promoting sustainable development. Let us not forget the fundamental role of our indigenous communities, all 15 million IPs more or less, and more than 100 IP groups, if I'm not mistaken, and our local fisher folk communities in preserving and managing our marine resources. Their traditional knowledge, practices, and rights must be respected and integrated into our policies and strategies. I think we should have invited the NCIP. Are they here? Because when we speak about PENCAS, when we speak about blue economy, the waters, kasama yan sa mga concern ng katutubo. Hindi nyo inibita? Kailangan. Oo. Kanang konsultahin, ha? Oo. So, in the TWG that will ensue after this hearing. So the traditional knowledge, the practices and rights must be respected. The value of remaining natural areas remains high because of their investment in stewardship. And we also have to account for the contribution in our national accounts in order to compensate accordingly. We must consider the interest of other stakeholders. What are these? Tourism stakeholders, research institutions, science, private enterprises, and we must find the common ground to build a sustainable and resilient blue economy that leaves no community behind. So we protect, we conserve, but there must be business. There must be sustainable enterprises. There must be grassroots protection and livelihoods. Hindi pwedeng may investor, pero mahirap pa rin ang Pilipino. Hindi pwede yon. So, now is a time for us to unite and act in the interest of our people and our planet. We have the opportunity to shape policies that will define our nation's trajectory towards a greener, a bluer, and more sustainable future. So we seize this moment, we craft legislation that will empower us to tread the path of inclusive and sustainable development. So we request our committee secretary, Ms. Jamie Duque Daileg, to acknowledge our guests and resource persons. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning. For the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, we have Ms. Romy Rose Padin, Attorney Lester Joseph Kaliwara, Ms. Armida Andres of the Coastal Marine Division, and Ms. Raque Ortega of the Climate Change Services. Also, we have Mr. Raul Magabo, supervising remote sensing for the National Mapping and Resource Information Authority, or NAMRIA. We also have with us Ms. Arnica Montillero from the Palawan Council for Sustainable Development. Now, for the Department of Agriculture, we have Ms. Lani Baracor from the Philippine Rice Research Institute. We also have here Dr. Nestor Domenden from the Philippine Council for Agriculture and Fisheries. For the National Economic and Development Authority, we have USEC Rosemary Adilion of the Policy and Planning Group. We have from the Philippine Statistics Authority, USEC Claire Dennis Mapa, together with Ms. Vivian Ilarina. For the Department of Transportation, we have ASEC Julius Yano of the Maritime Department of Transportation. For the Department of Health, we have Engineer Joselito Riego de Dios. For the Department of Budget and Management, we have Attorney Tricia Embaraan. For the Department of Education, Mr. Danilo G. Soriano Jr. For the Professional Regulation Commission, we have Dr. Wesley Rosario from the Professional Regulatory Board of Fisheries. For the Office of the Executive Secretary, we have Ms. Ria Robles. For the Department of National Defense, we have ASEC Eric D. For the Department of Foreign Affairs, we have ASEC Paul Vincent Uy, together with Attorney Zoilo Velasco. For the Department of Justice, we have Attorney Polito De Jesus. For the Department of Trade and Industry, we have Yusek Blesila Lantayona. For the Department of Finance, we have Director Carla Espinosa. For the Security and Exchange Commission, we have Attorney Emma Valencia. For the Bureau of Treasury, we have Mr. Robert Dominic Mariano. For the Climate Change Commission, we have Secretary Robert Borge. For the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, we have Attorney Rosilio Prado. For the Philippine Reclamation Authority, we have Attorney Joseph John Literal. And for the Philippine Fisheries Development Authority, we have Mr. Eric Sims. Now, for the University of the Philippines Marine Science Institute, we have Dr. Laura David. For the University of the Philippines Law Center, we have Attorney Neil Silva. For the Tanggol Kalikasan, we have Attorney Asis Perez. For the Resources, Environment, and Economic Center for Studies, Dr. Marian de los Angeles, as well as Dr. Rina Rosales. For the rest of our guests and resource persons, Madam Chair, we will acknowledge them later when as they arrive. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Comsec. So, just to set the tone for today's hearing, what constitutes the Blue Economy Bill? So I just go to Section 3C of the bill, which defines blue economy as a practical, ocean-based economic model using green infrastructure and technologies, innovative financing mechanisms, and proactive institutional arrangements for meeting the twin goals of protecting our oceans and coasts and enhancing its potential contribution to sustainable development, including improving human well-being and reducing environmental risk and ecological scarcities. Of course, this is subject to change, subject to enhancement. That's why we have a hearing. And before I proceed to your comments on the blue economy measure, since Yusek Edilion was not present here and the NEDA was not able to present its PENCAS position, if you have your PENCAS, oh, Yusek Bless, yeah. I like to see, the old faces that I'm familiar with, who have been in government for as long as I have, or, yes, kasi alam nyo, may institutional knowledge kayo, di ba? Oh. So, not too long, because I squeezed out of NEDA last time to give us the PENCAS position, and they submitted, I believe. But I will allow, of course, Yusek Edilion to speak, and then we proceed to blue economy. Everybody understands anyway that PENCAS and blue economy are like twin measures, but they're separate bills. So again, no bill is perfect, far from perfect. I was reading my blue economy definition. Even while reading it, my mind was fast editing it already na meron akong enhancement. So, huwag kayong mahiya o matakot o whatever, don't be reluctant in correcting us because we're here to learn from you. Okay, Yusek Rosemary Edilion. PENCAS and or blue economy.
Okay. Yeah.
Importante kayo. Bakit mahalaga ang NEDA? Because all government plans comes from them eh. Ang planning, kaya nga economic and development, ay yung palitan ng pangalan nyo, National Economic and Sustainable Development Authority, right? When were you created? What year?
Actually, we trace back our history, ano pa, Commonwealth times pa.
Commonwealth times, okay. Eh, syempre,
There's a
hindi pa
pending bill.
sustainable development pinapag-usapan nun. Anyway, when we speak about development, that goes without saying it's sustainable development. Okay, proceed.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. And thank you very much for this opportunity, especially you championing this PENCAS bill and the blue economy. Actually, you know that NEDA is also the secretariat of the LEDAC. So the first time we saw the list of the priority bills, the staff informed me right away na Yusek, wala yung PENCAS. Put it there, put it there. I'm sure Senator Lauren would have something to to propose on
So nasa
this
letak na
regard.
ngayon.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, we are we recognize the significance of these two bills, the blue economy and the PENCAS. Now, with respect to the PENCAS, so as you know, the NEDA has been a champion actually of natural capital accounting. We have been part of the pilot study on environment and natural resources accounting back in the 90s, and then yung waves pa, that's the ecosystem accounts. This was in the 2000, naabutan ko na yung waves. So, and so there are already several studies done and some roadmaps actually on the natural capital accounting. And so we would like to see this, hit the ground running. And therefore, our comments really are to do with supporting or enhancing existing initiatives. So, for instance, in the institutional arrangements, we note that the PSA already has this IAC on environment and natural resources statistics. So again, this is something that can be enhanced. Yes, the IAC NRS, ENRS.
I didn't know that. Did PSA last week tell us that there's an IEC rollout already? Anyway, I'm glad you mentioned that. Sige. There's information, education, communications on the rollout of PENCAS.
Oh no, there is an IAC, an interagency committee.
Okay, I IEC, information, education, communication. Agency committee.
Yes, on ENRS, and so
Agency.
DNR.
Mm.
Yeah, NEDA is also part
Okay.
of that committee.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Steering of the IAC.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. So this IAC reports to the PSA board. The PSA board meets every quarter. So there is that that checking on them, the accountability because of this that existence of that structure already. Um, And then there are already offices or units within the PSA and the DNR that has to do with that have to do with natural capital accounting. So there's no need to put up a separate NCA. Baka magkakaproblema lang din sa DBM. So we just work with the existing and take it from there. Perhaps progressively build up that capacity to come up with this with the NCA. And then also on the roadmap, again, there is already an existing roadmap. I think we just need to update it. I have this one. So this was co-developed by the NEDA, PSA, and the DNR. Yeah. So this was launched in, yes, ma'am,
Roadmap.
to institutionalize natural capital accounting in the Philippines.
Was that published? So, hard copy.
In March 30 last year, but we launched it after the PDP, so February of this
Okay,
year.
so I would assume that PENCAS is mainstream in the Philippine Development Plan. Very good. Okay, we don't have to amend it. Nandun na yun, no? Okay. Can you give us a hard and soft copy? And may I know if that roadmap of PENCAS is uploaded online?
Yes, ma'am.
It is.
Yes, yes.
In the NEDA website?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. So, because we are online, right? We are on Facebook Live, it's important sa lahat ng mga mag-aaral na gustong maintindihan po ang aming pinag-uusapan dahil hindi naman madali at ito'y technical, bata man o matanda, kawani man ng gobyerno o sa pribadong sektor, pumunta sa website or Facebook ng NEDA.
Website.
Okay, at nandyan yung soft copy niyan. Gusto kong basahin din yan. Okay.
In fact, this is part of a bigger action plan, yung Philippine Action Plan for Sustainable Consumption and Production, where one of the strategies there is really to value yung natural
And that
capital.
this roadmap is part of a bigger action plan, and that action plan roadmap was also launched already.
Yes, yes.
Is there a hard copy and soft copy of that bigger action plan? Give us both,
yes.
please.
Sure, sure.
Okay.
We will.
And perhaps would you need to update it? We see. I'll give you my comments when I read it. Yes. Okay. Sige. Thank you.
Yes, we will need to update it. Mhm. Yeah, on the blue economy, as you mentioned, yes, Philippines is an archipelago, and we do have a lot of resources. There's a lot of potential actually, but it rests on the blue economy, and therefore, and we know how fragile that ecosystem is.
Yes. Before you proceed, sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but I might lose my thought. All of those who are present here, whether private sector,
Oh my God,
government,
yes, heavens.
those who are online, can I request the ComSec to advise them to mute their phones with respect, as a form of respect to the hearing which is ongoing. I know that technology can sometimes be challenging, and I am certain that those who made noise while Yusek Edilion was giving a presentation and I interrupted because I had my thoughts, I wanted my thoughts heard, I'm sure they did not mean to be disrespectful. So can we have very strict adherence to respect protocol and decorum for everyone present online and those live, face to face? May I request the committee, and this goes on for all committee hearings, not just mine. Thank you. So may we kindly request all government agencies present here and the private sector as well to submit to us all roadmaps, action plans, sustainability policies, measures, and best practices that they are doing, that they know of but not doing. And we will also incorporate ours because long before I filed this, long before or sabay, I incorporated the provisions, some provisions at least, in the GAA. Hindi nyo alam, no? Hindi na dinedebate siguro. Special and general provisions in the General Appropriations Act are actually part of PENCAS and the blue economy. Maybe give me a list, okay? Wala si Attorney Doblon. Hingin nyo sa LBRMO. Hindi nyo alam, nandyan yan. Nakabaon yan sa GAA. For example, one thing I remember, a biodiversity database of all state universities and colleges. People thought I was crazy in 2015. I said, ilagay yan. Bakit? Kailangan magsimula sa educational institutions. Alam niya ang kanyang kaharian at ang kanyang pinoprotektahan. Ganun. So they found me kind of strange. Why is this chair of finance mandating counting the trees and even looking at the soil and the mountains and in SUCs? No, we must know, have a biodiversity of database in all SUCs. So ibig ko lang sabihin po, whether ikaw ay nasa DOF o DTI o CCC o PSA, sa pribadong sektor na inyong buhay o DFA or sa kung saan man, BIFAR, sa inyong kaalaman, imagine of all these 100 brains put together just one. That's 100 already, right? And me, I have dozens in my mind. Imagine that's a compendium of best practices. It can be so small and just using plastic, reusing plastic and planting an easily grown vegetable. That's something as simple as that. And all of the staff as well. Ipagsama-sama nyo, bigay nyo sa committee. Okay, continue, Yusik Adilon. So I mentioned that because you said that there was this roadmap and a wider action plan, which I assume is part of the PDP. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Proceed, please.
Yeah, in fact, that action plan on sustainable consumption and production is really SDG 12. Because we have recognized that it is actually the most pivotal of the goals of the 17 goals. So everything revolves around SDG 12. So anyway,
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned the Sustainable Development Goals because in the GAA as well, we placed that our GAA must be aligned, of course, with the Sustainable Development Goals and not just the SDGs, but also the Sendai. Was it Sendai or Yogo? Sendai, Framework for Action, the precursor of a Yogo, the Sendai, which was 2015. So I made it aligned with Sendai so that it's DRR aligned the SDGs. What else did I put? That's what I remember. So that's important. So we're speaking on the same page. Okay, thank you.
Rio plus. Yeah. Yeah. So with respect to the blue economy, Your Honor. Yeah, our recommendations have to do with one, again, improving the existing institutional mechanism and streamlining current functions of the. You mentioned that reactivation of the National Coast Watch Council to be renamed the National Maritime Council, but perhaps we should add to the agencies, especially the Philippine Space Agency, and also the DICT. Yeah, in order yeah. Yeah. We also would like to mention that as far as we know, there are only 15 personnel in the NCWC. So
The NCWC, National
the National Coast Watch Council.
you said that I said it must be remained. I'm not certain. I said that.
National Maritime Council in the bill. In the blue
In my
economy.
blue okay.
Yes.
So you moved from PENCAS to blue economy. I thought you were still giving your PENCAS. Okay. Yes, okay.
On the blue
So
economy.
you're saying that yes, the rename and the number, that's very important. Kailangan may suporta, hindi lang 15, no?
In fact, if I may also pattern it after the National Innovation Council, where in the law itself, they created the secretariat, the National Innovation Council Secretariat. Actually, it's lodged within the NEDA. In this case, there can. Yes, yes, ma'am. So in the National Maritime Council, so pwedeng in the law itself, ilagay na rin yung secretariat, and they will be the one to provide the technical support. We're thinking also to include yung R&D to steer development, research, and sustainable resource explorations, maritime zones. So maraming pwede nang they really need a full-time secretariat support.
I would just like to hear from you, not now, but what's best. Councils, commissions, minsan ang dami-dami, bureaucratic heavy tayo eh. O tawagin na lang task force or secretariat, whichever. I would like to know, which is the most efficient na hindi nagiging sagabal so that it's not another roadblock. Kasi councils, ang dami, mahilig tayo sa councils. Kami yun, legislation. Tapos, council, meeting na meeting. I don't like meeting fatigues. I like action because we're in the ICU. Yes, it's a climate crisis. So, council and council. I know I put it there in the bill. That's why I need all your comments. Kung abolish, pwede rin. O ano, replace it with what? Yes. I don't mind you, katayin niyo tong aking paano ko lang batas. I hate to use that word, but I speak in Filipino just to deliver my point. Criticize it, improve on it. Let's see how it comes out. Because this was also my refile. I've been filing this in how many congresses? I need to update it as well. Okay, proceed.
Yeah. Yeah, we think that a council would still be the appropriate or organization, but it would really yeah, be very beneficial if it already includes a secretariat. It's already in the bill. It's already in the
The
law.
council is the secretariat in itself, or the council
No.
is secretariat?
There will be a secretariat, yeah, a dedicated secretariat. Kasi it's the secretariat that will, provide that support. Kasi yung council, medyo high level po ito, Madam Senator. So, and with the many other things that the secretaries are doing, hindi masyadong matatauhan. So, there should be a secretariat that will really push the agenda. Yeah. So, like I said, we're taking off from the NIC, and of course, the NEDA board, where there is the NEDA secretariat. Yeah. And then, yeah, with respect to the composition, again, include the DICT and the PhilSA. And then I think there should also be a statement here on on the was this alignment of the maritime spatial plan with the comprehensive development plans. So the comprehensive development plans is actually mentioned in the local government code. So there has to be that again that policy statement that they have to be aligned. And then with respect to the perhaps the R&D that needs to be always included in the secretariat function is the conduct of carrying capacity assessments, and that this need to be updated every time, especially if there is uh, a new construction, a new investment that has come in, then there has to be an update of this carrying capacity assessment. Of course, we note that there are technological solutions to adding to that carrying capacity, but nonetheless, um, it should be. I think the council should always be kept abreast of what is happening. Yeah. So we noted, of course, that with respect to the blue economy, the sort of pollution that happens there actually comes from upland. Yeah. And so we are still, yes, ridge to reef. And so we're still thinking about, how do you, because the National Maritime Council will just be, along the shores. We can probably come up with a setback of I don't know how many meters. But that still begs the question of what do we do with those in the upland. So, but I think if we can include in the policy statement.
We don't, not just because it's blue economy, dagat lang o ilog lang. Hindi, kasama, sasakop tayo, may provision, and I would like help in that it would include regulating, and there are other laws that regulate upland. RA 9003, which I wrote in my first term when I was 38 years old, Ecological Solid Waste Management Law, institutionalizing the segregation of waste at source, recycling, and composting. If we all just follow that, we can have up to 80% waste diversion, and only 20% of our solid waste goes to environmentally engineered sanitary landfills, then the problem of patag plains or upland going to the sea will not be a problem, or at least minimized. Kaya nga, this is not, hindi to isang batas in isolation. Marami na tayong batas na naisabatas, pero uulitin pa natin sa provision, taking into consideration the following laws and reiterating it. Oo, yeah.
Yes. And yeah, a policy statement as well on the comprehensive development plan should include, should consider this blue economy. And just for the information also of the senator and this committee, that this blue economy and water is one of the priority areas in the National Innovation Agenda. So so that is the objective really is to sustainably harness coastal, marine, and inland water resources to support economic growth, generate sustainable livelihoods and jobs while preserving aquatic ecosystems. So,
When you say it's a priority in the National Innovation Agenda, that is part of your roadmap of the PDP, or the National Innovation Agenda is an output of the NIC?
yes,
It is an output.
it's an output of the
I'm
NIC.
so happy. May
Yeah.
isa yung batas ko.
It was,
So,
it was just approved last Friday by the president.
okay, very good. So I'm happy to note that a measure, thank you to Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, who sponsored very ably the measure. When I filed the NIC after APEC, again, proud to say it's an original measure. I did not refile it from some previous office. It was an output of APEC, and then I and my team, including consultants, brilliant consultants, drafted that original bill, which is the National Innovation Act. And I had a very competent colleague, Senator Sherwin, who shepherded it and enacted it into the law. So thank you so much. And I'm glad that you mentioned. So share with us as well the National Innovation Agenda. So, ang dami yung homework, all of you. So the best practices on sustainability, right? Whatever you're doing in your offices or in your homes, and then the National Innovation Agenda and the roadmap, which is in the PENCAS, but the bigger roadmap action plan, which Yusek Adilion mentioned. Okay, please proceed.
Yeah, actually, the other comments, we have already submitted this to the COMSEC. So I think those are just the things that I would like to emphasize. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that. And you see, in a very short time, we're able to discuss two important measures. But of course, all your inputs of NEDA as an institution will be submitted to us, no, for fine print. But we can see that the bills align, both PENCAS and Blue Economy, and they must not exist in isolation. It should be done and implemented eventually in accordance with the other laws that have been enacted, at least 10 major environmental laws in the past 20 years. Okay, so may we hear from, thank you very much, DTI, Bless, did you want to speak? Was DTI represented last time? Yes, oo. DTI, what is the position of DTI on Blue Economy? Do you have a prepared opening statement, or we'll just carry what was done before? What was done 2 weeks ago?
You have given assignments to DTI, ma'am, to be answered, and we are prepared to give our answer today. Or are we going to just submit it?
You can go through it and then submit it, please. Oo. What
Okay.
was this? Can you remind me which of the many assignments, and then go through it, the
Okay.
salient points?
So,
Thank you.
Ma'am, these are the questions or information that's requested by your office. Number one is the connection of the bills on Blue Economy and the PENCAS to the MSME law, to the auto bill, and the trade and industry in general.
That's very important.
Yeah. Okay. So-
Before you proceed, ang gusto natin pakita dito, ang kahalagahan ng natural resource accounting at ang blue economy, perhaps dalawang batas na maaring hindi kaagad maintindihan, pero may direct na impact sa ating kabuhayan, sa ating mga maliliit na negosyo. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So maybe that, the connection of the bills with an existing law, again, MSME, my 207 law, ito ba'y makakabuti sa micro-enterprises? Makakasama? It will enhance? What's the connection? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Of course, the Blue Economy and the PENCAS can actually complement the MSME law and the auto bill, which is now about to become a law, and the trade and industry efforts in our country by promoting sustainable economic activities, valuing the natural resources, and supporting informed decision-making for the benefit of the communities and the environment. The blue economy approach can benefit the MSMEs actually in the fisheries, the aquaculture, tourism, and maritime sector by providing opportunities for sustainable economic activities. It can support the development and growth of the MSMEs engaged in marine-related industries such as seafood processing, the boat building, ecotourism, and sustainable fishing practices. PENCAS can help assess the economic value of marine resources.
I'm glad you mentioned about seaweeds. Dahil ang daming nabubuhay sa seaweeds na kailangan lang nila ng suportang maliit mula sa pamahalaan, lokal man o sa national. Let's say sa amin, sa Kaluya, sa Antique, and some LGUs in Palawan as well. But of course, this will only thrive if the waters are clean and clear,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
And some support from the DTI. So again, we see the connection. Kabuhayan, the livelihood of our fisher folks who rely on seaweed farming. Yun lang ang magdadala ng pagkain at trabaho sa kanila. Pero kung ang plastic na galing sa lupa, sa highland, mainland, kapatagan ay itatapon sa coastlines, na makakawasak dumi at sira sa karagatan, ano na ang iuuwing kabuhayan ng seaweed farmer. Di ba? Ganun eh.
Correct.
So, apektado ang hindi MSME, very micro enterprise ng rural fisher folk or ng seaweed farmer, ang mga turista, domestic man o dayuhan sa coastlines or sa ating pang-araw-araw na buhay. So, I'm just trying to relate in very simple terms the connection between an MSME that needs help because perhaps after this, you may not be able to have the information now. I'd like to know the seaweed farming population in what municipalities and localities and in what provinces, and what help the DTI and or BIFAR and other agencies of government are doing for our seaweed farmers. And perhaps more technically and science-based, ano ba ang mga hamon sa seaweed farmers maliban sa kulang ng kapital at tools at equipment because they have the know-how.
Mhm.
Ano yung nangyari sa Kaluya? Yung sakit po tanong. Seaweed farming. You find out, yung sakit sa karagatan, thorns. Something yung crown of thorns? Crown of thorns, who would be able, before you'd be able to tell me. I just remembered it. The crown of thorns was a challenge to the seaweed farmers of Kaluya, Antique. I'm sure it's the same in other parts of the country. Please proceed, Yusek Bless.
Thank you, ma'am. The OTO program, on the other hand, aims to promote the local entrepreneurship and empower communities by showcasing unique products from different towns and provinces in the Philippines. The Blue Economy principles can be incorporated into the OTO program by encouraging the production and marketing of products derived from sustainable marine resources. For example, coastal communities can focus on producing value-added seafood products, marine-based handicrafts, or ecotourism services that highlight the natural beauty of their marine ecosystem. The Blue Economy and PENCAS can contribute to the trade and industry sector by promoting sustainable practices and enhancing competitiveness of Philippine products in the global market.
Can you repeat that portion on enhancing Philippine products?
Okay.
State it, please.
Okay. The Blue Economy can be incorporated into the OTO program
Yeah.
by encouraging the production and marketing of products derived from sustainable marine resources. So, for example, ma'am, the communities can focus on producing value-added seafood products, marine-based handicrafts, and ecotourism services that highlight the natural beauty of their marine resources.
Without extracting. Hindi tayo magbebenta ng corals. Di
Yes,
ba?
ma'am.
Maliwanag to, ha?
Yes.
Kaya I wanted to, hindi tayo mag-harvest ng corals, hindi tayo magbebenta ng corals, bawal magtibag or baka lang maganda yung batas ni Lauren. Pwede na pala. Mag-shopping tayo sa ilalim ng karagatan at wawasakit at ibebenta ang coral. Pwede raw ibenta, sabi ng DTI. Hindi ganun, ha? O, yun. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to be clear about it. Okay.
I think
Very
there is
clear.
a separate law that governs that, ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah.
alam naman natin. Kaya lang alam mo, hindi naman lahat sumusunod ng batas at hindi lahat nakakaintindi ng ating batas. Oo, sige.
Yeah. Okay. So, the next question, ma'am, assignment that you have asked us is assignment, yes, ma'am. Impact of the legislative measures on jobs, job generation, and employment, if this can indeed be measured as well as projected. Okay. The Blue Economy approach and PENCAS can provide actually a framework to analyze the economic contribution and employment potential of marine-related activities. By utilizing these tools and integrating them with data collection efforts and economic models, it becomes possible to estimate and project job generation and employment impacts associated with the blue economy. So we support this because it really can do it. And
Kaya natin maggawa ng projection. Let's say, presently, what are the jobs generated? How much does it contribute to our GDP? Of course, you have that in DTI, right? We have that. Those benefiting from the marine environment, from the blue economy. And then, if this is passed, what are the protection, conservation measures, and incentives, and how many more jobs will it create? Or what is its contribution to GDP? Just to prove that we are not stopping. We are not, hindi to magiging hadlang sa ani o sa, sa fisheries. Pero by protecting it, dadami ang catch. Maybe BIFAR could do
yeah,
that.
maybe
Oo.
Park could
Yes.
answer that, ma'am. But
But
for
you can give
example,
us what's the, ano ang ambag ng marine economy livelihoods, blue economy livelihood, ayon sa datos ng DTI sa ating GDP.
as to the present practices, we can do that. But I believe as to the impact of this possible law, maybe we can have a clearer picture of the numbers. Like,
Expect you to give it now, maybe just the present day value or the present day data, not now in this hearing, just submission assignment. Yeah, on marine environment livelihoods at present and government's contribution in terms of capital, skills, training, capacity building, tools, equipment, and challenges. And then looking forward, maybe NEDA and other government planners can see in the next 5-10 years what is the impact for enhanced protection and the jobs it will create. We can map that.
yeah, I think we can do that, ma'am. So now that you've mentioned that, I'd like to go to your next, the next request that you asked us, like submission of the roadmaps that can possibly be enhanced or updated to be consistent with the blue and green economy. So I remember in DTI, we have this industry cluster enhancement program, and we prepare together with the private sector, the academe, and the other government agencies through our national industry cluster coordinators. We prepare this roadmap specifically on coffee, cacao, rubber, oil palm, and bamboo. Now, we
How
are,
long ago was that roadmap? Can you share it with
this
us?
one is updated already, ma'am. I think this is already third of a series of updating that we have. And the approach to industry cluster development is actually the value chain approach. And we can see from the upstream to the downstream, we can see the players and the contributions of each. Now, we realize that mostly it is on, there are problems in processing, but we can also see that there is a lot of problem in terms of the production. But there is no such thing as measuring how much our land can give us, particularly. But we see the problems on low productivity of this land. So we can see that the fruits that we have, the coffee, is really lowering in terms of productivity instead of going up generally. So how much or what level do we really have, and what caused the acidity of the soil? I mean, if we look at this,
You're mentioning the soil because that was another study. I was asking my staff the other day to do a measure to draft a bill if it's needed, but it's really the Bureau of Soils and DA that's in charge on enhancing our topsoil, our soil. Yeah, a healthy soil is a healthy country. I'm glad you mentioned that. So that's another issue altogether. But that's part of it. Because pag may soil erosion, pupunta yan sa karagatan at sa ilog
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Because we feel that in the Department of Trade and Industry, especially so that we are assisting the micro, small, and medium enterprise development. These are inputs to their production. So if we don't have enough, then probably they resort to importation, which is actually something that is detrimental to our economy generally, because we said that our lands are rich, we have so much natural resources, then why are we resorting to sourcing this from sources other than the local? So we feel that in the processing side, ma'am, and in these industries that I have mentioned to you, where we have a roadmap, probably this can be prioritized also in terms of really accounting as to what
Copy of the
is-
roadmap and the areas that are good for cacao, for bamboo, although we have an idea already. Also, let's say, tuna. Ang daming tuna, let's say sa amin, I'll talk about Antique, North Antique, a small municipality of Libertad, right? Even Pandan, my hometown. So North Antique, daming tuna. So pag humuhuli ang mga mangingisda, wala naman bibiling marami. Noon ay sayang lang, sira. Pero ang kailangan nila, blast freezer, di ba? Cold storage. Kaya nga yung shared services facilities na naging batas na ba o malapit na maging batas, oo. So mahalaga yan, pero importante rin sa implementation. Natuturuan yung mga tao paano paandarin tong freezer na to, paano makikinabang ang mga fisher folks, at saka yung dating ginagawa ng BIFAR, anong tawag doon? Community fish landing, maganda in concept, kaya lang pipilitin ng gobyerno sa isang lugar na hindi naman doon ang puntahan ng mga mangingisda. So, importante, may pag-uusap sa lokal na komunidad. Ang ginagawa ng BIFAR noon, maganda nga in concept. Ilalagay kung saan gusto ng mayor, hindi naman doon ang puntahan ng mangingisda. O kaya may problema sa lupa. So, ang iba na community fish landing, naging parking lot. Dapat yan puntahan ng mangingisda. O, tapos nakita ko, sa isang pinuntahan ko noon, isang malayong lugar, na yung cold storage o yung blast freezer, linigay sa municipal hall, tinago nung LGU. Oo, binisita ko ng January 1 on a New Year's Day, nabisto ko sila. Bakit nandyan? Dapat yan nasa CFL para sa mangingisda. Kasi daw, kasi may dahilan bakit wala sa CFL. So my point is, alam natin yung solusyon, pero ang hamon talaga sa implementasyon. Oo. Kaya nga yung value added, yung ating ang daming nabubulok Alam naman natin yan Mula sa kamatis hanggang sa mga isda. Ang yaman. Kaya lang yung turuan natin sila ng bottling, di ba? How to preserve it in a sustainable way. Anyway, proceed. Thank you.
Yeah. Maybe that's what we are going to highlight, ma'am, and we'll just submit the other information and data that you have requested from us. In fact, I think it's already being emailed to your office, the industry roadmaps that I have just mentioned.
Thank you very much, Yusek Bless Lantayona, for that. This is what I mean when we speak to agencies and they come prepared, right? And they know what they're talking about. That's how it should be for everyone. So may we hear from the DFA on maritime conventions and the DOTR for maritime security. Do we have someone from DFA? And we have Ms. Rina Rosales of the Resources Environment Economic Center for Studies, the REECS. Who can come first? Sino po ang who's from DFA?
Good morning.
Yes. Who will speak in behalf of a DFA? But although you had a chance to speak last time, but this is for blue economy? Are there pending conventions and treaties that we need to concur in the Senate? Or can you enhance our proposed bills to align more with maritime conventions? Attorney Zoilo Velasco.
Yes, ma'am, there's a new agreement that was recently signed. Sorry.
Sorry, the Maritime and Ocean Affairs Office is different from the Office of International Economic Relations or different offices?
Different offices,
Okay,
Madam Chair.
okay, thanks.
Okay. There's a recently signed agreement, the BBNJ, the Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction, which was signed in June 19, 2023, rather adopted, and we will be signing it in September 20.
What is the name of the convention?
Uh, uh, Marine Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction.
Marine biodiversity beyond
National jurisdiction. Yes, ma'am.
beyond the
Beyond,
of a country.
yes, ma'am. So beyond the EEZ, so it would be the high seas. So all the marine biodiversities in the high seas and the
It's
sea.
just adopted by the United Nations for transmittal to the countries.
Yes, ma'am.
And the Philippines, of course, voted in favor.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so it will be, mahabang proseso yan. How long will it take for them to send it to the to DFA and for OP to ratify and for concurrence?
So the agreement will be signed in September 2023 during the UNGA, and after that, the agreement will be sent to the president.
Since we have a copy of that anyway, DFA, we ask you to please give us your inputs on PENCAS and blue economy aligned with the convention so that we don't wait for the convention to be concurred in or to complete the process of ratification. We already have the enabling law, right? That will be on the same page, on the same, with the same policies as the convention, right? Are
Yes,
you
ma'am.
able to tell us the salient points of the convention? Are you
So-
able to recite it now in class? Or are you not ready now?
Not right now, but I can give
Oh,
a broad
just give us
overview.
a copy. Yes,
Yes,
please.
yes, madam.
Okay, that's your input for today.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. Asek Uy.
Good morning, Madam Chair. I'm pleased to inform the Honorable Senator that we have submitted our homework. First week of June, we submitted as per your instruction. The written position papers of the Department of Foreign Affairs on the PENCAS and the blue economy, because during the last meeting I was able yes, I was able.
There in the first hearing and you made your presentation and you have your submission, so we don't have to read it into the record. That's okay. So we can ask the others to speak. Thank you very much. Okay. May we hear from Rina Rosales of REEX?
Good morning.
Morning.
Hi.
So here in the first hearing?
Yes, I was, but I wasn't able to
did you
present.
Speak already?
No, I
No,
wasn't able
okay.
to present.
Please proceed. This is
Sorry.
an NGO, right?
It's a consulting firm, ma'am.
Yes, but private.
Yes, it's private. And I believe one of my colleagues was able to speak the last time, Dr. Ann de Los Angeles. She was the one who was able to present the history of NCA in the country, what we've done. So yeah, I just wanted to add to that. Dr. De Los Angeles was able to present what has happened. And this position paper that I'd like to share with you and with everyone is about what we are doing right now with respect to NCA. So I think you will find this very relevant, what REEX has been doing. So I'm Rina Rosales, representing the Resources, Environment, and Economic Center and Studies for REEX. May I have the slides, please?
Wait. We're discussing blue economy already because we had much of PENCAS last time. And if this position paper is on PENCAS, could I request you please to submit it to us if it's not yet been submitted, so that I would like to hear your comments on the blue economy.
We have submitted that now.
No need to recite it today. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I need comments on the blue economy since we had discussions on PENCAS last time. BIFAR, fisheries. Can we hear from BIFAR, please?
Yes, ma'am. We attended the first hearing last time with our Assistant Director for Administrative Services, Sir Saldi Perez. The point of support by BIFAR in terms of the Blue Economy Act is basically regarding the uh, semblance of the National Maritime Council to support the mandates of BIFAR in terms of conservation, utilization, and management of the aquatic resources. The emphasis would focus on, we suggest that we integrate the current regime on fisheries management areas as a sort of ecosystems approach to managing our fisheries, as well as emphasis on providing a balance of human well-being and governance in terms of the support to the ocean and water resources. In addition, ma'am, we took note of the integration of this measure in terms of the integrated marine and coastal area management under Section 15. In addition also, there is an existing law under the Philippine Fisheries Code of as amended by RA 10654, which can serve as reference in improving the section under this bill, which try to incorporate the importance of law enforcement in the fight against IUU fishing. In addition, ma'am, the BFAR has also agreed with the establishment of the mechanism to fully implement and enforce the international instruments relating to the marine resources, such as the Convention on the International Trade and Endangered Species of Flora and Fauna, or the CITES. This instrument can be threshed out to avoid overlapping of the international treaty to this law. And lastly, we would like to emphasize that RA 9147, or the Wildlife Resources Conservation and Protection Act, can be integrated as a reference also to apply in the protection of the aquatic wildlife, which is main source of problem in terms of uh, rehabilitating the rare and threatened and endangered species as determined by some of the policies of the government in ensuring that implementation on the close season be adopted also. That's all, ma'am.
Since in the first hearing, we discussed PENCAS and submissions were made, the second hearing was supposed to focus on the blue economy, and I, just being very realistic, cannot request each and every one to read on the record your submissions. May we request you to give the soft or hard copy, we prefer soft, of all your, not just opening statements, but I would want comments. Really study both bills, change what we wrote, just so that you know it is not just the bill that I authored, but also a resolution of Senator Poe on the blue economy, and a forthcoming resolution when we have the technical working group of Senator Sani Angara, whose resolution will still be referred to the same committee which we chair now after the opening of Congress. So we expect and hope and request you to please give us not just very general statements, but in definition of terms or terms which are lacking, on clarity, even on factual information. I love to be corrected. I want to be told I am wrong so that I learn. I like my measures to be enhanced, improved, even changed. The bottom line is, papaano ang natural resource accounting magdudulot ng mas maraming trabaho? Papaano ang natural resource accounting ay makakapagbigay ng higit na proteksyon ng ating mga protected areas sa lupa man o sa karagatan? Papaano ang blue economy, paano ka lang batas, pag maging batas ay makakapagbigay ng mas magandang trabaho at kabuhayan sa mga mangingisda, pati na rin magsasaka sa kanayunan. Yan ang mga pakay ng dalawa natin batas. To enhance, to protect our protected areas, of course. To conserve it, of course. Pero importante, how will it bring about, ano ang magiging ambag niya sa GDP? At hindi lang statistika, kundi na rin how many jobs will it create, how many happy, healthy lives will it affect. That's what I want to see. So, DOLE should, NCIP should be there. Who did I say earlier? DOLE, the ICT, of course. Let's utilize technology. Let's utilize technology. Gawa tayo ng mga apps. Not tayo, ibig sabihin mag-develop ng apps. Let's say, tuwan-tuwa ako sa Starlink ni Elon Musk. It has landed in the Philippines a few months ago sa aming kabundukan sa antike na zero internet. Ngayon, mataas, 200 or more megabytes per second more ba the populasyon where there's Starlink. At syempre sa karagatan na malayo na wala naman internet, magagamit yan. So para naman akong endorser, no? Hindi ako may-ari ng Starlink at hindi ako salesman, ha. Natutuwa lang ako na merong satellite technology. So yun ang ibig sabihin ko, isama natin ang DICT at kung meron pang ibang teknolohiyang ibang tatak, sige banggitin nyo, yun lang kasi ang alam ko ngayon. Okay? So don't get me wrong, I'm not a salesman of Starlink. Tuwan-tuwa lang ako na nakarating ng Pilipinas yung Starlink ni Elon Musk. Tapos, so importante yung impact sa kabuhayan. Yan ang mahalaga. Okay? So, the comments, I hope, will not just be, we concur, sang-ayon kami, kritik, paano nyo mapapaganda, mapapahusay with the end result of providing more livelihoods. And not just more livelihoods, sustainable livelihoods, regenerative livelihoods, regenerative agriculture, regenerative marine ecosystems that we can enjoy in the present time and that we can bequeath to the next generation. Kasi pag sustainable, yeah, we sustain it. When we regenerate it, we leave it in a better state. That's my understanding. At least we regenerated. Paano? Diba? So, NEDA, PSA, DFA, DFA, you will have to give us, of course, we can just Google the convention, but I want per provision, per bill, how does it align with the convention of taking care of the high seas? Philippine Council for Agriculture, the same thing. Before, let's say DepEd, you develop a provision if it's not yet there, kung paano yan isama sa curriculum mula sa simula. CHED even should include that in higher education as well. DND, BSP, Treasury, DBM. Perhaps DBM can submit to us the 2022 GAA and the present year's NEP on funding and resource allocation for the protection of natural resources, and in particular, the protection of the marine economy, the marine environment. Just like I said, we must mainstream DRR, CCAM. I want to see not just in pesos and centavos, but provisions of protection for the blue economy, the marine environment, and our natural resources pertaining to 113 protected areas and all the pending PAs which are not yet legislated. May bagong homework. Sige. Climate Change Commission will have a separate meeting for that. Okay. So it's also important, may I ask the agencies of government, wag lang kayo nagkikita pag may hearing. Converge, di ba? Share information, and especially with us, because know that I'm interested in each and every institution's work, and we are here to help. So share. Pag nagbiyahe kayo, may mga seminar, workshop, share information, soft copies. When you have learnings, share it with us. Because I cannot travel as often as you do, domestically or internationally, but because of our work. But you're able to, and that's good. We don't stop that, but share. Let it not remain in your libraries, in your archives, or among yourselves, and always coordinate with each other. Okay, so I'm lecturing again. I'm sorry. Sige, we will not adjourn. We will, how do you say it? Transfer? No, anong salita dyan? No, but we ililipat yung, ang tawag dyan?
Suspend to create a TWH.
We have to create the we suspend, yes. So we will suspend. I can still chair the TWG, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I can come in and out. Yes, yes, yes. We will create a technical working group, Blue Economy and technical working group for PENCAS. So I just wanted to set the stage for PENCAS and Blue Economy. And then we create TWG, Blue, TWG, PENCAS, hiwalay, pero marami rin sa mga nandun. Pasensya na kasi my legis or my consultants or I will chair table G, will let you know, and the schedules as well. It can be hybrid as well. Wala nagsalita from those online. Is there anyone who wants to speak? But last time we gave them a chance. Baka nahiya kasi kanina may maingay. Ha? Ano? PRC. Meron pong, dito po, PRC po. Yes. You can speak, sir.
Magandang tanghali po, Madam Senator. Ako po ay nag-work sa BIFAR for 43 years. At meron po kaming suggestion. Ako po ngayon ang PRC Board of Fisheries Chairman. Okay. Siguro po pinakamaganda yung mga roadmaps natin nakafocus. For example, example lang, sa Malampaya Sound. Ang Malampaya Sound po merong mahigit 200,000 hectares na tubig. At ang resources po nila napakadami. Doon ko po nakita yung pinakamalalaking tahong sa buhay ko. Pinakamalalaking talaba. Meron din po silang scallops. And yet, wala pong negosyo doon. Ang talaba po nila, ang tahong po nila, nabebenta noong time na pumunta ako doon, 5 pesos per kilo. Siguro po, ang resources po nila, sabi ko, hindi napakalaki. At yung PENCAS po at Blue Revolution, siguro maipapakita natin doon kasi isolated siya. Merong there are 31 municipalities, but most of them are coastal municipalities. Pwede po tayong magtayo ng maliliit na negosyo doon. Halimbawa, cages ng mga grouper, marami pong grouper doon, wild caught, yung mga fingerlings. Yung scallops naman po, pwede natin ituloy. Meron po silang fishing plant doon ng scallops, pero nakasara. Yung tahong po na nakakagulat na napakalalaki, pwede nating i-export ng buhay to China. Yung excess production po, pwede nating i-process into battle products. And yet, sa Malampaya, sa Taytay, Palawan po. Nakausap ko na po yung mga siguro 8 barangays doon noon. And nakakuha na sana ako ng pondo from Norway government. Kaya lang po hindi natuloy.
Why does it have to be the Norwegian government?
Nagdo-donate
Trabaho
po.
po ng BIFAR.
Nagdo-donate sila.
Hindi, trabaho ng BIFAR na alamin, sabi nyo galing kayo sa BIFAR.
Yes, yes
Trabaho
ma'am.
ng BIFAR na alamin ang pangangailangan ng lokal na komunidad
Yes.
at magbigay ng tulong,
Yes ma'am.
kaalaman at ng tulong.
Kung mapipihit niyo po yung BIPAR, magandang gawing example yun.
O sige po.
Isa po, another is yung salt.
Ito na muna po.
Okay.
Huwag muna another. Mr. Rosario, bigay po nyo yung inyong mukhahi sa amin. Ako na po ang mag-a-amend sa NEP kung wala po sa NEP ng BIFAR. Pero I would suggest yung inyong mungkahing yan, I'm sure hindi naman yan napakalaking amount.
Maliit lang.
Ilagay nyo before. Show me your proposal, how much it will cost and what equipment, tools, fishery, etc., capacity building, etc. Do you need an SSF or do you need BIFAR boats or you need processing facilities? Kayo ang may alam. Give us
Sila
yung
po.
proposal. Katabi lang yung BIFAR Ba't kailangan pang hearing para kayo mag-usap? Yan ang ibig ko sabihin So, baka hindi kayo pinapansin ng BIFAR, maski galing kayo dyan ng 40 years. Bigay po nyo sa BIFAR. Ilagay nyo BIFAR sa inyong budget sa NEP. Hahanapin ko yan sa NEP. Ayan kayo ha, si Comsec at saka Philippine, sa mukha Attorney Blon. Hanapin sa NEP. Pag wala yan sa NEP, may nangyari. Hindi
Yes.
kayo pinakinggan o hindi po nyo binigay o inislash po kayo. BBM, nandito kayo. Yung mungkahi ni Mr. Rosario na maganda raw gawing ehemplo sa ilang barangay sa Taytay, Palawan, I'm sure, sigurado ako, papayag si Sec Pangandaman. Huwag nyo lalagay sa tier 2, 3, 4. Ilagay nyo, huwag nyo puputulin, patingin sa NEP. Maganda po yan. I-example ninyo. Sige po. At kung tinanggal pa rin, akin na. I-amend kong ibabalik ko. Promise. How much do you need?
Hahanapin ko yung
No,
proposal.
just give information. 5
Tagal na
million,
po
10
yun.
million. Just an idea po. How much?
Konti lang po yan.
Huh?
Less than 10 NM.
Done. 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 Why did you not tell me earlier? So, pero wag ng puro amendment. Just to assure you that it will be in the GAA, but you have to tell me what it is, and you have to put the nomenclature. That's why BIFAR is here, that's why DBM is here, that's why you will give it to us. So what is it, and what is its output? What is the nomenclature in the budget? Put it in the NEP. Why did it take you after 40 years in BIFAR, sir? Mawawala na yung mga tahong. Oh.
Yes ma'am. Kaya nga, may chance, natutuwa ako, may chance ako nasabihin ulit.
Ay, nako, inintay pa niyo ako. Sige po, ano po yung pangalawa?
Yung sea cucumber po. Hindi natin alam, noong 1970s, yung sea cucumber, number 2 po na exporter ng sea cucumber ang Philippines.
At pupunta tayo doon. Pupunta tayo.
Kaya number 2 exporter po ang Philippines Sa sea cucumber, hindi natin alam.
Saan po ang, teka,
All over the Philippines po available
sandali
ito.
po. Yung scallop sa tahong, sa Taytay.
Para may sample po tayo sa
Okay.
Taytay.
Ilang barangay? Wala.
Taytay,
Sabi nyo, 8?
hindi po, more than, almost 20 barangays yan. Na
20
coastal, coastal.
Taytay.
Opo.
Okay. So, Northern Palawan to, diba? El Nido, 2 oras by land sa Taytay, mga 2 oras pa papuntang San Vicente, papuntang Puerto Princesa.
Na-present ko na po ito sa Sanggunian eh. And then barangay meetings.
Ay, nako. Siyempre, sasabihin nila wala silang pera.
Walang
Buti
pera
kayo-
yung...
Buti kayo nagpunta sa DTI, sa SSF, ang kantang gawin yan. O kaya sa BIFAR. Anong taon po nyo present po ito?
Nakalimutan ko na po.
Ay, nako.
Binigay ko yung proposal sa Secretary of Agriculture. Pero
Sino pong sekretary nun?
Pinyol, I think.
Tagal-tagal na yan. Sige. O sige po, hindi pa huli. At bigay po nyo yung inyong proposal na binigay pa nung DA nung dating panahon. Bigay po nyo ngayon din sa BIFAR. Bigay po nyo sa DBM. Bigay din nyo kay USEC sa Operations Group DTI. Titingnan po natin, hindi lang sa BIFAR, kundi pwede rin DTI magbigay po Convergence Project. At kung hindi pa rin kayo pansinin, ako na po bahala.
Okay po.
Okay.
Another
LCU.
species na nakakatulong maglinis ng karagatan natin ay yung sea cucumber. So, ang kainaman nitong scallops, mussels, oysters, wala tayong pinakakain. Hindi siya nag-contribute sa pollution. Actually, kasama siya sa solusyon ng pollution. Another is yung sea cucumber. Number 2 po ang Philippines na exporter ng sea cucumber noong 1970s at 80s.
Ngayon
Ngayon
po.
po nasa number 12, number 14 na lang tayo.
Ano nangyari?
Hindi ko dito. Yung technology po ng breeding ng sea cucumber, meron na tayo. Nagawa namin sa Dagupan.
Is it because of marine pollution kaya nawala ang mga sea cucumber po?
Hindi po. Over-extraction, dahil mahal ho siya,
Mangroves. Ang sea cucumber nasa mangrove.
hindi po, nasa sa sand, sa beaches. So yung problema po natin sa Boracay, supposedly ang solusyon lang ay magpawala tayo ng sea cucumber juveniles para may kakain ng mga marine algae. Hindi, biological way of controlling yung pollution doon sa mga marine environment natin. Halimbawa, yung 100 Islands, gusto natin mapaganda yung water quality doon, then magpawala tayo ng sea cucumber. But at the same time, kailangan i-educate natin yung mga
It's a
tao.
natural anti-polluting measure.
Yes, at mahal po siya.
Ha?
Mahal, napakamahal. One of the most expensive na
So,
marine
ine-export
products natin
at
is sea
kinakain?
cucumber.
Kinakain, right?
Opo.
Ibang-
Kinakain po natin.
May ibang...
Ini-export natin.
So, it's pag ipakawala, ibig nyo sabihin, para linisin,
Maglilinis po siya.
paglilinis
Kaya
po,
po ang tawag sa English ay sandfish.
oo, sunfish. Pero, kinakain din siya.
Kinakain po natin.
Okay.
Ini-export po natin at sabi ko nga, about 4,000 pesos per kilo yung dry weight.
Wow. So, saan po ang pinakamagandang gawin? O sa lahat po ng may mangrove area?
Lahat po ng coastal areas po pwede. Yung mga marine protected areas po pwede. Meron kaming project ngayon with isang environmental group. Baka po maglagay kami ng first commercial hatchery ng sea cucumber sa Mindoro. Sa Mindoro Oriental po. Wala pa po kaming saktong area na paggagawan.
Hindi natin gawin sa mga bayan na apektado ng oil spill. Pwede ba siya
Kahit po
mabuhay?
matay po.
So hindi na pwede.
Hindi po pwede. Yung mga yung mga tourism areas.
Ay,
Pwede
so,
para
hindi siya pwedeng makatulong sa paglinis sa oil spill.
Hindi po, hindi po.
Mm.
Wala pong fish na po pwede o walang marine organisms na po pwede.
So, dapat po sa mga local, municipal
Yes.
protected areas.
Pwede rin po itong gamitin ng mga fisherman, mga bantay dagat, para sa sea ranching. Pawawalan nila, pawawalan ng government, for example, yung juveniles, and then magbabantay yung mga tao, after 7 months, mag-harvest yung mga tao. So in a way, mapoprotection na natin yung population ng sea cucumber because maglalagay tayo ng tamang size kung po pwede na nilang hulihin. Kasi ang sexual maturity po niya ay 250 grams ang size. Meron po kaming hatchery na itinayo, first commercial hatchery nasa Dagupan. At meron din po sa ibang lugar. Medyo iha-highlight lang po sa programa ng BIFAR, for example.
Or baka naman po ginagawa.
We have a center in Dagupan specializing on marine high-value species. So, pwede pong i-breed doon kung kailangang magkaroon ng centralized hatchery doon sa National Fisheries Development Center po. Meron po. Ano po kasi ang naging priority ng BIFAR yung top 5 commodities, pero we are not discounting other high value species.
I leave it to the PRC and BIFAR where you want us to support. And again, put it in the NEP and give us the proposal. If it is not carried, allow me to help you. I'll try to make it my own amendment. So, sea cucumber as a natural cleanup measure, right? For polluted coastal areas, especially in local marine protected areas where there are mangroves, correct? Then it can be a livelihood for our fisher folks because it's expensive in the export market. And the first was scallop, tahong, etc. Right? Okay, yung dalawang yun. Yun na muna. Yun na muna. Meron pa pangatlo. Ano, pangatlo po?
Sasamantalahin ko na ho. Ako po yung nagtayo ng hatchery doon sa Dagupan. Pero retired na ako, so PRC na po ako ngayon.
So, kayo pa ho ang nagtayo. Maganda ba ho ang tayo?
Maganda ho yung tayo. Punta ho kayo doon.
At isa sa Taytay, Palawan.
Okay. Another po yung salt. Nagising po tayo na 93% ng asin ng Pilipinas imported na. Pero nung 15 years ago, nagsimula po akong gumawa ng salt using food grade or food contact plastics. Ngayon po, 93% nagising tayo, imported na yung salt. Ay napakadali pong gumawa ng salt. Napakalawak ng coastal areas ng Philippines. At in 7 days, yung salt water po, yung dagat, ay magiging asin. 7 days lang. Kung ituturo natin sa mga tao. So, ang kainaman nito, hindi siguro kailangan ng permit from DNR kasi plastic lang yung ilalagay doon sa dagat. Yung mga fishermen na kulang yung kinikita, pwede silang magkaroon ng additional livelihood during dry season. Yung issue po related sa iodine, yung pong natural salt ay mayaman sa iodine. Hindi po totoong walang iodine yung natural salt.
Meron na ba ako ng assignment sa inyo po na salt mapping database? Humingi ako, no, ng database ng lahat ng local communities, LGUs, up to the barangay level and the name of the PO, CSO, NGO, or maski solo ng nag-aasin sa buong Pilipinas. Humingi na ako ng salt mapping eh.
Mamaka po dun sa hearing dun sa DSIP na bagong law na pinropose po this
Yes.
year. Actually, before for the last 3 years has funds for salt. It was just limited to around 130 million po. And even for next
Can you
year,
give us the list? Who were the beneficiaries of this 130 million?
the first project was during the pandemic.
Yeah, but not
Uh,
now. Just give us the list of the SALT funding beneficiary. And
Yes, ma'am.
ano nangyari after binigay nyo? So nabuhay ba yung industriya ng asin sa lugar na yon? Kaya sa Antique kami, binubuhay ko, hindi ako humihingi sa inyo, binubuhay ko yung mga asinan doon. Kasi advokasya ko asin matagal na eh. At Albuquerque, Bohol, nakapending pala yung aking amendment doon. Dole? Dole Kabuhayan ba din? Shere. Anong ahensya ng gobyerno? Naglagay tayo sa Albuquerque. Kabuhayan, merong programa ang Dole. Kaya isama nyo si Dole dito. Si Asek Warren Biclat. Sa next. Dole Kabuhayan na nagbibigay tulong sa isang NGO sa Albuquerque. Yung tinubok. Tibuok. Ano? Tibuok. Asin tibuok. Tibuok ng Albuquerque. Yes, sinak ganun. So, sinutulungan ko silang buhayin. Ilan ang aking asinan sa Antique na binubuhay? 16.
No, ma'am. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5.
Limang asinan
Yes, ma'am.
sa iba-ibang barangay, iba-ibang LGU. Lahat pa, ha?
Yes, ma'am.
Kasi we're 18 municipalities, coastal is 15, and at least we've identified how many? 5 only?
5 so far.
5 so far that we gave help, pero nung nabagyo, naapektuhan na naman, so buhay na naman, ganun lang eh, tulong ng tulong. So, 5 po. Sana bisitahin nyo yung aming asinan na binubuhay ko po sa Antique. Mr. Rosario, mukhang eksperto po kayo sa mga ganito, magandang puntahan po nyo, imbitahin ko kayo. Pangalawa, at si BIFAR, pumunta kayo doon. Pero never nyo kami tinulungan, ha? Oo, kami lang ang tumutulong sa sarili namin. Oo, oo. Kasi gusto ko makita sino mga beneficiaryo nyo, ang laki-laking pera ng 130 million sa nakaraang taon. Hindi ko alam na meron kayong SALT funding. Pero that's good, that's good. So, kindly give us the list of your, and then hihingi kami ng tulong sa inyo. Di ba? Hindi pwedeng ako na akong tumutulong doon. Tulungan nyo. Bisitahin yung dalawa, ha? Si Miss Lani at si Mr. Wesley. I-connect mo kala Roda para makita yung asinan. Pero yung tibuok, maganda rin yung sa Albuquerque. Sige. Okay, tama na po rin 3. So, scallop sa tahong, si cucumber, asin.
Opo,
Tama na muna.
wala pong masyadong puhunan yung mga tao dyan. Programa lang talaga ng gobyerno.
Pag sinabi niyong walang puhunan ang tao, ibig niyo sabihin wala silang puhunan, mahirap.
Hindi po.
hinihiling lang ay tulong sa gobyerno. I don't understand.
Hindi po. Siguro, technology, para ituro sa kanila, yung puhunan po, hindi sila bibili ng feeds, hindi sila mangangailangan ng similya, nandun ang lahat. Kaalaman lang. At konting tulong.
O yun, napakadali. In fact, ayoko ng sample lang. Tagal-tagal natin pinag-uusapan to, sample lang. Tanan, gawin na natin lahat. So, ang homework nyo, hindi lang, of course, yung kaya kong tulungan, baka iilan lang, pero ibigay na nyo lahat ng lugar na pwedeng makinabang sa 3 pinag-usapang natin ito. Hanggang sa kaya ko, ay i-amend ko ang budget. Pero nakikinig naman ng DBM, so gawan nyo ako ng ganito. Gawan nyo ako ng 1-pager each for each of the 3 we talked about. And then, it's all under BIFAR, what you have allocated last year na lang, say mo na, 2022 and the present year. In GAA last year, in NEP this year. And then, nakikinig si DTI, pwede rin to mahulog under DTI, di ba? Shared Services Facilities. Tama? Ha? Sana meron. Ako palagi naman nag-increase sa budget nyo eh. Kaya nga, so kung sigurado akong wala kayo nito. Tapos si Dole, Kabuhayan, ay, kaya si Dole, dapat nandito si Warren next time. Pwede rin, kasi ang ginagawa ko sa asinan, sa Antique, under Dole, Kabuhayan. Okay? So, kung sinong pinaka-efficient na gobyerno, I guess kayo, kasi BIFAR, dapat alam nyo eh, kayo may technical know-how. Ang Dole, very broad, puhunan lang eh. Kaya maganda yung sinabi ni Mr. Rosario, wala namang hinihinging malaki. It's maliliit na bagay lang. Kaya nga, ba't tayo pipili lang isa? Bakit tay-tay lang? Bakit ito lang? Hindi. Damihan na nyo. Lahat na. Lahat nangangailangan eh. Konti lang naman ang hinihingi sa atin eh. So kayo ang focal, dalawa po. Nationwide
Ako po taga PRC na. So,
Hindi, pero pwede kayong tumulong sa ito. Taga-PRC po kayo, taga-PRC kayo, pero kayo pong nagtatag ng Asinan Center sa Dagupan. Tama ba ho?
kami yung nag-start.
Kayo nagsimula at buhay pa yung center po.
Meron pong isang university, Don Mariano Marcos. Siyang nagpupus ngayon.
Ayun. Oo. So tingnan natin yung center nyo. Padala na lang muna kayo po ng photos at report tungkol sa center nyo at anong tulong ng center nyo. At ibang areas na pwede pa tayong gumawa ng similar projects sa asinan at ano po sa isang pamilya na may asinan o isang maliit na kooperatiba, ano ang kailangan? Ano po, how many jobs will be created? Magkano ang kikitain kada araw, kada buwan? Ganun kasimple. So we will see the investment of government, yung tulong, at ilan kaagad ang trabahong madudulot. O, yun naman, yung tatlo. Oo. Liwanag po. Si Taytay para sa clams at scallop. Si Cucumber sa Boracay at marami pang ibang lugar na may MPAs, tagalinis at mahal sa export. At si Center sa Dagupan at marami pang iba sa Antique, Bohol, etc. Asinan. Tatlo ha, maliwanag ha. Maliwanag, dear, makalimutan nyo. Okay, sige. O tama na muna. Dumadami. Sige po. Manong, hihirit po kayo pang-4, pang-5. Kaya maganda eh. Kasi maganda eh. Maganda naman. Yan ang ibig ko sabihin, DTI. Yan ang inibig ko sabihin lahat. Ito ay mga maliliit na negosyo na magbe-benefit sa blue nakatayo ko kasi sa blue economy at sa PENCAS. And salt is a natural resource, right? Why do we have to import when we have so much coastline? Oo, importante lang yung kaalaman, sabi nga niya, right? Seaweeds. Ipang-apat na natin yung seaweeds. Sino ang sinabi ko sa seaweeds kanina? Oo. So pang-apat ko na. Aalagaan ko tong 4 na anong to ha. Intutuhin nyo ha. Sige. So yung homework niyo yung 3, yung 1-pager concept paper and the budgetary provisions si seaweed CBTI. Okay? Okay na po. 12. We will create a technical working group. Baka ako pa rin mag-chair kasi gusto ko talagang ano to. And then we will request you, siyasatin po ang bawat provision ng bawat panukalang batas. And by that time, nag-TWG, yung resolution ni Senator Sonny Angara ay na-take into consideration. Yes. I appreciate everyone's inputs. Wait, I saw Tanggol Kalikasan and Marian de los Angeles. Is it Dr. Marian? Is it Doctor? Professor? Doctor? Kanina pa, but she spoke last time. Yes. Dr. Marian de los Angeles. And then Tanggol Kalikasan. Yes. If you're still online. Yes.
Yes, maraming salamat po. Ang sasabihin ko po ngayon ay tungkol sa blue economy.
Very good.
Last time it was on PENCAS and I'm going to link blue economy with PENCAS. I only have 2 slides, so this will take only 5 minutes. Thank you, Madam Senator. I will share my slides. Nakikita niyo na ba ito? Okay. So, I strongly support the framework for blue economy and appreciate all the technical and detailed discussions that were given. And I recommend additions to the current drafts for the SIPs, as well as follow-up for the subsequent creation of governance mechanisms for the following reasons. Yung una, the size of the area, marine area, were biotic and abiotic, living and non-living resources are hosted by blue waters. Malaki ito, sinabi na sa draft yung mga malawak na coastline. Pangalawa, climate vulnerability is largely transmitted through the blue and green waters. Green yung nanggaling sa bundok, blue yung marine, and the ridge to reef interactions. And we need to emphasize this. Third, there's significance dependence of marginal groups on marine and coastal economies. The size is bigger than what is reflected in the accounts because many of these are subsistence economies or informal and even illegal economies. And until we have good accounting, we will not be able to reflect their contribution to the national economy. Pang-apat, de facto, I believe that the attention from the Department of Agriculture is residual for our coastal fisheries and marine waters. Especially for the extension work. Maybe this is no longer true now, but the mentions earlier about specific products and the efforts to me are good, but they are not at the scale that will really impact on poverty reduction. So we really need to scale up. And baka kulang po yung ating extension work sa BIFAR. Fifth, the governance of the blue economy is much, much more complicated than our terrestrial or land-based economies. Governance includes households, community, and private sector interactions, not just intergovernment interactions, national and international linkages, kasama na yon yung illegal poaching in our waters and our relationship in the deep blue waters for biodiversity conservation. Kasama na rin dyan yung logging, illegal smuggling that really happens in the waters, in the international waters. And I don't think we are monitoring this at all. What we can't monitor, we can't control. There is also considerable need for inter-LGU collaboration. This is happening in MPAs. And the reason for this, of course, we know is that the fish do not respect administrative boundaries. They move around. And so does pollution, that moves around. So malaki ang kailangang cooperation, collaborative work. We expect, in fact, increasing conflicts of use that will arise in the near future, including those that can be caused by climate impacts. Sixth, what is really absent is equity, environment, and governance accountability. Sad to say, when we ban something, we don't monitor that anymore. We have banned fuelwood gathering from mangroves, but there's no more data on how much fuelwood is still being gathered from mangroves. And this is true in many of our actions. Dahil na-ban natin, huminto din tayo ng pag-monitor, and that's really sad and ironic. That also means that the actions of individual players are disjoint. I therefore propose that the proposed act include these elements, address these altogether. How could that happen? My next slide shows the relationship among the different economies, especially the blue economy, and the accounting system. And this is borrowed from a colleague who is quite important in the Global Oceans Accounting Partnership, and he allowed me to use this slide. We really need governance accounts. Hindi lang yung PENCAS. But I'm going beyond PENCAS now, and that is how is government functioning in terms of enforcement, in terms of laws that are outdated or not, or already taking advantage of the DICT. These need to be linked to risk accounts, market risk, ocean risk, and disaster and natural risk. Of course, we need the marine ecosystem accounts, and a lot of these will eventually be in the SEEA, ecosystem accounting. We also need to put together the accounts on abiotic goods and services. Ano ito? Yung oil, yung minerals, yung sand. These are interacting with the rest of the biotic or living accounts, and there are interests in these too. Ito na yung blue economy, and as mentioned earlier in the discussion from on DOLE and DTI, the social accounts are very important to take note of, and this should include the IPs, employment, and the like. So, Madam Senator, I'd like to offer that we talk about a bigger framework even as we speak of PENCAS and the blue economy bills. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. De Los Angeles. You are able to put in just 2 slides many things that are in the measures, and we appreciate your inputs the first time and now as well. And we invite you as well to join in our technical working group, and we would request you to improve our measures because these have been refiled in the past years and they're far from perfect, and you know it best. Tulungan po nyo kaming pagandahin. Pero yung kaya din pong ma-implement ng gobyerno. Pero it's good to be ambitious with regards to protection. And what's important is that it is also understood and it can be operationalized on the ground. I take note of what you said, that the examples mentioned by PRC or Baby FAR may not poverty alleviation. Obviously, these are just examples, but if it can be done nationwide, ba't hindi buhayin ng asin? O, yung isang example nila na asin center sa Dagupan ng Mariano Marcos State University o lahat ng SUC na pwedeng i-mentor ng Mariano Marcos, bakit hindi maging extension program, di ba po? Tapos ibang mga SUC na may extension program, mga SUC na merong mga coastal areas, pwede siguro magkaroon ng sea cucumber kung meron silang mangrove areas, gawin. Hindi lamang sa Boracay, kundi sa maraming ibang lugar. And I can see if there's a successful template of one barangay in one LGU, whether it's sea cucumber or seaweed farming or pagbuhay ng asin, I'm sure that it can help other jurisdictions as well. So thank you very much, ma'am, for that. We appreciate each and everyone's presence and inputs. Thank you. I have to go because I have a 12 noon. I know that Tanggol Kalikasan is here. Who is this? Is this Asis? Oh, you were before. Anong ginawa mo, Asis, nung panahon mo? Ito, yung asin, si cucumber, at si... ano ang ginawa nyo noon? Alam ko, namigay tayo ng fishing boats. Okay, you have a few minutes. I have to go.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Senator, for the opportunity. And first, let me express my appreciation to this effort of putting together these two very important.
Bakit hindi nyo nagawa yung sinasabi ni Mr. Rosario nung panahon ni Sec Piñol? Di ba panahon mo yun? Hindi ako
Hindi po.
naninisi. Hindi ba? O
Hindi
sige,
po panahon
sige.
yun.
Alam kong limitado lang ang panahon din nyo at limitado din ang resources. Kaya nga, yung mga hindi mo nagawa nung panahon mo, nandito pa rin ako, sa awa ng Diyos, sa tulong ng taong bayan, ay kaya siguro nating tulungan pa. Yan. Okay?
Yes, Madam Senator, thank you for the opportunity. In fact, I agree with Dr. Del Rosario in so many ways. And there's this opportunity awaiting for us that does not require a lot of resources. And he gave very good examples of what these commodities are, and I will not elaborate on that. So basically, there are two opportunities here. One is capture fisheries, and the other one is the aquaculture side. And when we talk about aquaculture, you're basically talking about two kinds of aquaculture commodities. One is the non-feeding ones, yun po yung sinasabi ni Dr. Wesley na hindi pinapakain. And the other ones are the ones that you feed, where you put in a lot of investments. The government does not produce. It is the private sector that produce. So kailangan maging malinaw po yun. Production is never a function of government. Government is supposed to provide the policy that will promote production. Ngayon, sa amin pong karanasan sa private sector, I'm now with the private sector, what we need is the policy environment that is conducive for growth, and we need, of course, market access. Dalawa lang po yun. And I think the emphasis in the blue economy will help a lot. Kasi I've seen some provisions in the proposed bill which is supposed to provide areas or identify areas similar to EPSA, no, for aquaculture commodities. Mahalaga po 'yon kasi sa ngayon po ang aquaculture production sa Pilipinas, lalong-lalo na kung ginagawa mo ito sa loob ng municipal water, ang permitting system po dito yearly lang. So you cannot expect a serious investment to be placed in an area where tenure is not secured. And so I think
Yes.
one measure that is in the bill is the identification of and promotion of EPSA-like facilities for
Yes.
aquaculture
I
that
have,
will
yes.
ensure tenure for our serious investors.
Yes, okay. That's very good. May I request you, if you've not yet submitted from our first hearing, Attorney Asis Perez, to submit it to the committee.
Yes,
Sorry, we had to adjourn by 12 noon. And I would appreciate your inputs, not just in a very general way, but also looking at the provisions of both measures, and you will be part of a TWG. I have to convert this committee hearing into a technical working group. Thank you very much to all of those online and those physically present. We
Thank you, ma'am.
suspend
Thank you.
today's
Thank you.
hearing, and we will let you know when the TWG is. Maraming salamat po. Isang lunti ang Pilipinas.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.